Hello and welcome to FPSKivotos. Now I'm your host Bridge, and let's get started. On this week's episode, we're going to talk about a Vtuber Customs, and the Vtuber we're talking about today is Mori, or Mori for short. She's a dog Vtuber and has a bakery, so she's kind of like a bread dog per se, and she's got one of my favorite character color palettes and just design overall. Her outfit is so pretty, and as you can see here, we're going to get straight into it. Zaxta's art is fantastic. It is so pretty. She just looks, I don't know, she just has one of my favorite VTuber designs, and I'm really glad that she took me up on the offer of making her a Vtuber Customs. As always, we're just going to talk about the gun and all the details that I have on it, show you guys firing footage, and show you guys the special patch that I made for her. Getting straight into it, here is the shotgun. This is a Savage model 77D. It's actually a Vietnam era shotgun. So this was used in Vietnam, obviously. So I have a lot of shotguns from different time periods of war. Winchester model 1897, that is from World War I and World War II, obviously. The Ithaca 37, which is from World War II. And then now the Stevens model 77D, which is from the Vietnam War. Now the big difference between this and the other two shotguns is that this is more traditional in the sense where it ejects from the side. Now granted, the Winchester also did that, but it had, the weird hammer action essentially, and the Ithaca actually loaded and ejected from the bottom. Well, this one, like I said, is just side ejecting, and it doesn't have slam fire like the other ones, but I think there's other models of the 77 that do have slam fire, but this one in particular does not, as I've seen. But this one in particular is very cool. It is honestly one of my favorite shooting shotguns. Is very soft for, being a 12 gauge. Now 12 gauge isn't the most recoiling thing in the world, but I think the choke kind of helps it a little bit, which we'll talk about that more here in a second. But just, I think the overall aesthetics just turned out really nicely for this thing. It did start its life as a gunmetal gray color, but as you can see here, I decided to change it up and I went for a nice kind of silver metallic type finish. And as you can kind of see on the barrel itself, it does have the paint coming off, which is perfectly fine. I mean, I use my guns, right? So I want to have them have the wear and tear of actually being used firearms. But starting from the back here, we have the recoil pad. I just added that on there just because it makes, life a little bit easier. But as you can see here, we have a little 3D leaf sticker. I added a bunch of those because, well, she has sunflowers on her outfit and it kind of just fits the yellow vibe, as I'm also wearing yellow too, just to match her general vibe. And I think it just turned out really nice with these stickers. They are coming off, but I mean, they are stickers. I can just put new ones on there if I really wanted to, or at the end of the day, I can just take them off. I already mentioned the silver color, but as you can see here on the side of the gun, I actually took inspiration from the Ithaca build. So the Ithaca, I didn't actually paint at all. It is actually masking tape, or well, scotch tape in that regard. Clear tape, essentially. And I painted it. I took strips of tape and laid them down onto a table and just went over them with different colors of spray paint. And once they all dried up, I put them onto the gun and then I cut them down to size. And honestly, the detailing is not the most detailed thing in the world, but I think it just turned out really great to have that contrast of the kind of FDE tan color into the white and then into the silver. And then obviously on the opposite side of the shotgun, I did the exact same thing. It's a little bit hard to see because of the light, but I did the exact same thing with cutting the little slits in there as well and the little stickers there. And honestly, I think it just gives it a lot of character, more detailing on the actual receiver itself rather than just being all silver. Moving back over to the injection side, as you can see here, I did originally paint the bolt a copper color, but then obviously putting oil on it and shooting on it, it just kind of came off. So as I mentioned earlier, we have the long barrel. I forget what length this is. I believe this was used for most likely hunting of some type, whether it be pheasant or anything like that, because up here in the front we have the Savage Super Choke. Now this thing is pretty gnarly. It's just a choke. I'm not entirely sure how chokes operate. I believe they make the spread a little bit tighter or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. You can technically adjust it, but I just kind of kept it on its normal setting. But as you can see here, I went for a nice, just metallic blue. It's very similar to Hio's gun. If you remember her Bursa pistol, I did the same thing where I kind of went with that Damascus faded blue steel color. and fading it into a copper color, which is on the bottom here. You don't really get to see that much unless you're looking down the barrel of the shotgun, which, I mean, I'm not pointing it at anyone in particular, but you know what I mean. And I think it just honestly turned out really nice. It's just a nice extra bit of detail and color to the overall set of the gun, even though she doesn't have blue in any of her design. As always, I buy a lot of my old shotguns used, and so this one does have a little bit of chipping on the pump itself, but you know, it gives a little bit of character and just like, I guess, lore, as you can say. One final little detail before we get to kind of like the conclusion, because there's not that much to talk about it because it's just a shotgun, and shotguns are just really fun and, you know, reliable, and they just work, and they're just really, really neat. I think when it comes to firearms in general, shotguns are probably my favorite. But as I was mentioning, one interesting detail about the Stevens in particular, at least from what I was able to tell, is that the way it loads is kind of interesting. All shotguns have, well, I don't know about all, but most shotguns have a cartridge stop. So essentially when you put shells into the tube here, they'll sit into the tube and they'll stay in the tube, and they'll only come out because when you rack it, another shell basically gets free from the cartridge stop and goes into the gate, and then you can pump it back forward, obviously, and it goes into the chamber. But the next round gets stopped by that cartridge stop, so it doesn't, you know, mess with anything within the system. At first, when I bought this, I thought it didn't work because it just loaded weird. So I'm gonna have 3 practice shells. These are completely dummy. They're not live rounds, and I'm gonna demonstrate what I'm trying to say here. So let's rack the shotgun real quick, make sure it's all good to go. Grab a shell, put it into the tube, and you can see right there, it pops out a little bit. Most modern shotguns, when you put the shell into the tube, it'll stay about right here, like that. You can see, obviously you can't really see, but my thumb, where this position is where the shell would usually stay put. But when you see as I let go, it kind of comes back out. I thought that meant it was broken. The cartridge stop is supposed to stop it from going into the chamber like this. And I actually just went out of my way and I bought a new cartridge stop. Like, I looked up the exact shotgun and got the exact same cartridge stop, brand spanking new, installed it, and it was doing the exact same thing. And I was like, is this thing just broken? And no, I don't think so, because the cartridge stop does actually work. It just works in a very different way. So you can actually grab another shell like here, like I said, dummy round, and just, oh, I'm doing this from like a third person perspective, it's weird. Put another one in there like that, grab another shell, and do the same thing, push forward, and boom, it's loaded. And then you can rack it. Got the shell into the chamber here now, as you can see there. Move forward, and then it's just like that again. You can pull the trigger, bang, then drop the shell, and throw another one into the chamber. Now, the interesting thing, if you can kind of see right here, obviously you can see the red color of the shell that's currently on the feeding gate. You can see right there, well, actually, it's what you can't see is the shell. The other shell that's currently within the tube. The cartridge stop is actually working. So I guess that this shotgun in particular uses the cartridge stop in a different way than modern shotguns, which does make sense because a lot of shotguns, you know, back then, it was just kind of whatever works. And I mean, this does just work. You don't have to put any more extra pressure on the shell when you put in a new one in, but it just feels a little bit different than what you're used to, because you're used to just throwing a shell in there, cartridge stop, throwing another shell in there, cartridge stop. This one, you kind of have to like very minimally fight the next shell to push it into the tube, and well, it just works. And as you've seen in the firing footage, more than likely, it shoots fantastic. It's probably one of my favorite pump action shotguns that I own, but I definitely really like the Ithaca the most. In the Ithaca, as I was mentioning, it acts in a completely different way as well. It just is super cool. But yeah, that's just some really interesting detail I guess I wanted to just talk to you about this shotgun. Other than that, it was an absolute blast to make. But with all that out of the way, let's move on to the conclusion. If you guys have been enjoying this episode so far, please make sure to close down shop and get ready for the next day. And make sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to know when I upload every single time. Now, on to the conclusion and the giveaway. So for the giveaway, we have another set of patches. This is going to be another set of 10, as I usually do. And these are some of my favorite patches I think I've ever made. They are so cool, and I'm really excited to, you know, give these off to fans of Mori or anybody who just wants a really cool patch. And that is, of course, the 10/17th, Bread Butter Corps, who are the food service specialists. These are based on the food service specialist patches used by the Marine Corps, actually. And I'll probably pull up a picture of what those look like. These turned out incredible. These are, like I mentioned, these are my favorite design patches to date. And as you can probably see, I don't know if I actually put one up on the wall, but as you can see here, this thing is so cool. It's honestly kind of subtle, which is really nice. I mean, most of my patches are fairly subtle, but it's just, this one is just so, quite large, but just so cool. You could put this on a hat and it would look pretty cool. And I just really like just how it turned out overall. I'm a really big fan. And I got the birthday right. I got the numbers correct. 10/17, October 17th is Mori's birthday. If it's not, I'll go fuck myself. But all jokes aside, these are fantastic. And if you want to have the chance to win one of these awesome patches, just go down into the comment section of this video. You can also like and share it if you want to, and comment, "The bakery is open." In about a week or two, I'm going to go into the comment section and pick my 10 lucky winners, and then I'll try to get in contact with you as best I can, whether it be here on YouTube, Discord, Twitter. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's right here. Might be a little bit easier if you don't, I don't think Mori has a Discord, so it's a little bit harder to get the fans all together and stuff like that. But I will try to hit you up on Twitter. Just give me a follow there, and then I'll try to figure out who is who, and I will get these to you in the most timely manner I possibly can. These will be free of charge as well, so don't worry about that too much, even if you live out of country, which will hurt my bank account, but it's all worth it to give people some really cool patches. This shotgun was an absolute blast. And honestly, I say that about all the shotguns. I just really like shotguns. I'm just a shotgun guy at heart, and they're just super fun to just shoot and enjoy and just do everything with. Mori, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity of making this video for you. I really do hope you enjoyed the effort that I put into all of this. And I asked you if you wanted a custom gun. You said yes, and here it is. And I'm glad that I can finally have this completely done to show off to you. I'm really happy to see that you are back. I'm a really big fan of your music and your covers, and just your vibes in general are just really great. But please continue to stay awesome. I'll continue to support you as best I can. But with all that out of the way, I've been your host, Bridge. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.